Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the spring circuit meeting entitled Merging Your Passion with the Practice of Law. I'm Marquita Christie, and I'm the circuit governor of the 13th Circuit, which equates to regional representation of all of the law schools in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. I want to thank you for taking time out on your Saturday to attend this webinar presented by the Law Student Division of the American Bar Association. This topic was chosen to gain insight from practicing attorneys who have followed different paths in the development of their careers. For many lawyers, the traditional path of graduate from law school, join a good firm, practice for 35 years, make partner and retire is neither possible or desirable. As we know, the practice of law has changed dramatically. Shifting demographics, personal expectations, the want for work-life balance, and so on have literally turned the profession upside down. Lawyers at every level and in almost every type of situation are asking themselves the basic career questions. Where do I want to go from here? And more importantly, how do I get there? Today we have two panelists before us that will give us some insight on how they've navigated their careers. We have attorney Erica Green, who is a solo practitioner and specializes in family law, personal injury, juvenile law, and estate law. And we also have attorney Katrina Castillo, and she's currently an attorney with the Florida Department of Children and Families. For any of the viewers, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you could click on the Q&A icon on your screen, or you can email me directly from the invite. So let's jump right into the discussion, ladies. Can you share with us what your background is and how you have come to your present position, and what is your current area of practice?
Erica,
My name is Erica Green. I'm a practitioner in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I began practicing about 5 years ago on my own. I have worked with different attorneys in the process, but I guess I worked for an attorney after law school for about 9 months. So I learned I was his office manager, so I learned how to pretty much run an office. So when I got ready to actually open my own firm, I was able to kind of know what I was doing. I started thinking that I wanted to do a lot of criminal law, but I ended up, as of now, I primarily do family law. I also do adoptions and estates, pretty much successions and wills, things of that nature. So that's kind of how I got to where I am. I did do clinical education program at Southern University Law Center. So that's how I got there.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Katrina, and as Marquita said, I work for the Florida Department of Children and Families, so that means I do what's called juvenile dependency law. So I work with children who have been abused, abandoned, or neglected under the Florida law. And I've kind of taken a random path to getting here. After I graduated law school in 2013, I then went into D.C. and got my LLM from American University Washington College of Law in Law, Politics, and Legislation. For 2 years, I did labor and employment policy for D.C. city government, where I wrote regulations and legislation having to do with things like paid family leave, or we were updating the FMLA regulations for DC city government, things of that nature. And then now what I do is I practice juvenile dependency law. Specifically, I do the emergency removals of children. So that means sometime in the last 24 hours or so, the department has determined that these children are no longer safe in their home and need to be placed somewhere else. And so I go to court, I write the petitions and orders and go to court and defend those actions for the Department of Children and Families.
Okay, thank you. Could either of you describe a personal experience that provided you with the confirmation that a traditional legal career path wasn't exactly the right path for you?
Well, I always knew that going into private law was not for me, and that I always wanted to work for the government. So even just I may not have known what area of law I wanted to be in when I started law school, but that was the one thing I did know is going into big law or going out as a solo practitioner was not something that I wanted to do. I wanted to work for the government. I wanted to use my law degree in that manner of fashion. So it's kind of always something that I knew wasn't for me. So.
Is it muted? Okay. I think I knew that I wanted to be a solo practitioner, like I said, after I worked for the attorney that I worked for. And I guess personally, I have that kind of gumption. I think that that's something that we really need to state today, that if you want to be a solo practitioner, you're going to have to be the person that they call it a rainmaker. You're going to have to basically be able to get your own clientele. You're going to have to sell yourself in the community, and you're going to have to it's a lot of responsibility. So you are doing your own accounting. You're doing all of your paperwork, drafting your pleadings, and at some point you will have your own assistant. At some point you will have paralegals that work with you. But when you're a solo practitioner, you have to bring your own money in. So I knew that I had a good base with the community. I knew that I didn't have a problem with. I was from Baton Rouge, so I had great referrals from family, friends, church members, and my professors made a point to send me clients. So I think that we need to make sure that it sounds good to be a solo practitioner, to hurry up and get your degree and open your own practice, but you have to be practical about if you can actually sustain clientele.
Okay. So as a law student, a lot of the programming that I attend, the goal of aspiring attorneys is to have good work-life balance. A lot of my colleagues don't have the want to work the 80-hour weeks, or the billable hours. They want to have a good work-life balance. So how important was work-life balance to you in your decision to go into your area of practice? And do you feel it helps you avoid being burned out at any point, throughout the work week or any time frame?
That work-life balance was extremely important to me when I decided that I wanted to be a government attorney. That's part of the reason why I decided to be a government attorney. I will tell you, though, that when they say that government attorneys only work 9 to 5, that is not the case. I have yet to work a day where I go to the office at 9 a.m. and leave the office at 5. I'm usually there at 7 and leave somewhere between 6 and 7. But, it's one of those things where you do have to make the time. So there are days where I leave early or whatever, that you have to make that time. You have to make the time for work-life balance and making sure that, okay, yeah, because and I'm sure that Erica will agree with this, that there's always going to be work to be done. So, if you think you're going to finish it all in one day, that's probably not something that you're ever going to be able to do. So understanding that, all right, I can put that aside for, the moment and go take care of something else, go have dinner with a friend, go do something, go walk your dog. And I should have said this earlier. I apologize if my dog barks in the background, but like doing something like that is you have to make time for that work-life balance if that's something that's important to you.
I think, like I said, it all goes back to organization. The individual has to be well organized, and the law school gives you that type of feel. You say, why am I reading all these books? Why am I reading all these cases? Well, and why am I doing it crazy hours of the day? Well, the reality of it is life will happen, and you will need to be able to basically control your clientele and be able to live your life. So if you were a morning study person and you woke up pretty early and studied, then that probably is how you're going to work when you have your own practice. If you were a late night person, that means you may be that non-traditional attorney, and you may meet your clients in the afternoon. You have to do what works for you. But the work-life balance, I have to be honest, it's the base, the number one thing you need to figure out what works for you. I remember working for, and I was still by myself, but I would work with other attorneys. I said that earlier. I remember working with another attorney on a case, and his work life was different than mine. And since I think it's a few women on here, I will say this. One of the attorneys I worked with, she always said, sometimes male lawyers, they have their wives at home, so they can stay at work all day. And for us, you have to go home and cook your food and do everything that you need to do to maintain. So when he would want me to stay later, I had to make a decision that what my breaking time would be. Even with my clients, when you first start, you're answering the phone 24/7 for people. That might not necessarily be what you need to do. You need to designate, well, after 4 o'clock, I'm not going to answer the phone anymore, so that you can get those pleadings drafted and get everything that you need to get ready for the next day. And that literally means you might not be the person that needs to have your cell phone on a business card. You have to just kind of determine that so you can balance your work life out.
All right, we had another panelist join us just now, Miss Whitfield. So if you want to take a little moment to introduce yourself, you can go ahead and do that now.
Hi, I'm Zara Whitfield. Can everyone hear me? I am new to Google Chats. So I am an attorney. I'm currently employed at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, but in my previous life, I was a federally registered lobbyist and also a Capitol Hill staffer, where I served as counsel to the House Homeland Security Committee. And so I don't know what you want me to do next, or if I'm just introducing myself. And then
yeah, it was just a quick intro, and I'll
okay.
do the next question for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Legal occupations have the highest rate of stress and depression amongst most occupations, and attorneys across the United States have begun to realize how prevalent the problem is. Do you feel that finding a balance between what you enjoy to do and the work that you have going on is a calming force, and it creates a healthier mind for you on a regular basis regarding mental health and wellness?
I guess I'll start. Especially in the area that I work in. I work in an area where every day I see statements of facts about children who have been abused, abandoned, or neglected by their parents or caregiver, and some of the most terrible things that happen to children on a daily basis. So when it comes to either burnout or making sure that, I don't bring it home with me, I had to learn how to teach myself how to leave all of that at the office, and making sure that all of that stays there, so that way when I am at home and I'm out with friends or whatever, I'm not just constantly talking about the terrible things that I see when I'm writing these petitions, or when I'm at court, or things like that. And then doing those other things that don't necessarily revolve around my work, still having those other things. So like all of my, I'm very involved with the Young Lawyers Division in the ABA, so doing all of that and, making sure, that's all of that is important in keeping that work-life balance and keeping your mental health and that, and de-stressing from all that, and then finding out things that you love. I take my dog for an hour walk every day, and that's something that I do on a daily basis to kind of process and kind of de-stress and relieve some of that tension that builds up during the day when I'm reading and seeing all these things.
Okay, I think I'll take this one because I do family law. So I'm dealing with divorces, child support, custody. Um, it gets highly dramatic. And so you can easily feel that either party got the wrong side of the deal, because people say, well, did you win the case? You can't win a family law case because there's children involved, just like with the child abuse and neglect cases. You can't win a case when people are breaking up families. So it really does tug on your heart, and you have to make a decision to literally leave that stuff at work. So like Katrina said, what happens is you have to develop some hobbies. You have to do some things, especially even for younger attorneys that are trying to figure out their way. If you like to run, if you like to do different things, you really need to start doing those. Put that on your schedule and break. If you're going to work out at 12 o'clock, break. I don't know how you're going to do the 12 o'clock one, but you should definitely commit to de-stressing. And don't always, when you go to social events or happy hour events, you don't have to always drink at those events, because that's another issue with our field is we have a lot of substance abuse issues, and dependency on medicine. So I think that you need to find holistic approaches to addressing some of your stress levels. And that may be just sometimes it is talking it out with some other colleagues, but find a way to, I guess, relieve your stress that doesn't require you bringing it home, sharing it with your family. Because at some point they don't want to hear about that every day.
And I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. I mean, we're very highly structured people. Our clients rely on us to be highly structured, accountable, reliable, things like that. It really is important, equally as important, to schedule our fun, schedule our massages, schedule our, girlfriend time, whatever that is. If you have mentors, you have to work into their schedule. They're just as busy as you are, but finding ways, outlets. For me, it's a hot bath and a massage. For other people, it may be, running. It may be, a lot of different things. But you got to find that happy medium for you, because this profession is very, very stressful.
Okay. What is some advice you would give to someone currently in law school that kind of has that internal struggle on to maybe do I follow what I love, or do I try to find a big firm that's going to pay me a lot of money? What's one piece of advice you wish you would have heard as a law student prior to becoming a practicing attorney?
I'll chime in on that. I think for me, the advice I wish I would have given my 25-year-old self graduating from law school was that you don't have to do a traditional practice in order to find your niche. You're going to find your niche, but remain open to a variety of different specialty areas. For me, I never imagined graduating from law school that I would, go on to work on Capitol Hill, but because I remained open and looked at all the possibilities with my skill set, I don't think there could have been a better opportunity out there. None of my classmates pursued it, so it was definitely uncharted territory. So I had to create another network of mentors, unlike what I had in law school. So that was challenging, and many of those mentors aren't lawyers, and that's okay. Those people are lifetime friends, they're lifetime mentors, and I always reach out to them whenever I need help.
No, I agree with Ms. Whitfield. As somebody, if you had told me in law school that my first job would be doing labor and employment policy for DC city government, or working in or my second job would be juvenile dependency in Florida, I would have laughed at you, because I didn't even take any labor and employment when I was in law school, and I never touched juvenile law until I started this job 6-7 months ago now. So you have to, like she said, you have to be open to the opportunities that are presented to you, and kind of it's a judgment call, and feel out, saying if being at a big firm is what you want, absolutely do that. If going the more non-traditional route is something that's going to make you happier, go that route, because the worst thing that you could possibly do is pursue something that you think you're supposed to pursue because that's what everyone else is doing, and be miserable for the next 30 years, 35 years, because you're at a job that you absolutely hate. So everybody's got to make that decision for themselves. But like I said, I knew going into it, the government is where I wanted to work. That's who I wanted to work for, and that was what I wanted to do. So that's when I moved to DC and got my LLM. Those are the opportunities that I pursued, and how I ended up with DC government. And then when I decided that I wanted to go and do trial work or get into the courtroom, moving back to Florida and getting into juvenile dependency happened to be the opportunity that presented itself for me to be able to do that. So not cutting yourself off from things because they're scary, or because, maybe I don't know anything about that. And I've been lucky that the people that I've worked with answer all my stupid questions about juvenile law that I don't know. And things like that. So, and they've given me the opportunity in the position that I'm in to kind of learn as I have the ability to learn as I go and do all of that great stuff. So that would be my advice: is don't don't go to big law just because you think that's what you have to do. Do it because that's what you want to do. If something else is what you want to do, pursue that, because that's what's going to make you happy. And I guarantee you, if that's what you want to do, you will find a way to do it. That's just fact.
Something that was stated earlier that I want to piggyback on is the mentorship key. I think law students have this picture of the judges, the attorneys, the public defenders, the district attorneys, and everyone else in the system a certain way. You obviously put them on high pedestals because they should, but you need to be very careful that the people you link up with have the same goals, agenda that you have. Because sometimes what I found is young lawyers tend to link up with people that they think, oh, this person's making a lot of money and that's going to help me out. Or they link up with people that they just kind of like from afar, but never got to know that person's work ethic. And um, not to downplay some of the seasoned attorneys, but on the private practice side, everything that the way they work, the way their office is run, you need to make sure you align with that, because mentorship, it will help you, but it also can hurt you. You can pick up bad traits from bad lawyers. You can pick up habits that will cause issues with judges, and you can also partner with people that have bad reputations, and you didn't know that because they just went to church with you and you thought they were the most amazing attorney, or it's somebody that you connected with through an organization that you're in. So do some, I'm making this word up, it's not true, mentorship spotting. Sit with a couple of different people and do them in different types of law, so that you can determine if that's what you want to do. Do internships, and don't give up on public interest work. I definitely think that was something. I worked in juvenile court when I first got out of law school. Well, the first summer of law school, and I still go there to this day. I was able to get my adoption contract for foster care because I volunteered with juvenile court. Public interest work is really is not appealing, but it can actually serve a good benefit for you personally. So be careful who you who you partner with on your mentorships, and then like she said, do what you love and make sure that you try all aspects, public interest work, private sector, and determine, and it might not be even that. You may just be of counsel or compliance director. You might not even use your law degree the same way other people will, but you can still matriculate and grow as a great attorney.
And can I say something about public interest law, because it's a buzzword that everyone's using right now. ABA is really big on it. The Obama administration is really big on it because of this student loan forgiveness program that is in place. It was signed into law and became enacted in 2007. And it basically allows those attorneys that pursue public interest work to forgive at least a portion of their loans if they've made, it's either 120 payments, or they have been working they've been working in that field for 10 years or more. So that's certainly a possibility. And when I think of kind of the value in that, I mean, sometimes that's better than working for big law with big checks and things like that, if you can have your student loans forgiven and you're not saddled with that kind of debt forever. There are some caveats to that, so I really encourage everybody to really look at the law. That particular program will not vest until 2017, so it remains to be seen exactly what that's going to look and feel like for attorneys, but it's certainly a great option that we didn't have prior to 2007, certainly didn't have when I graduated in 2001, because I pursued public interest work right out of law school, in clerkships as well as working on Capitol Hill, but of course I couldn't qualify until 2007, and that wasn't available to me.
Okay, ladies, this is going to be our final question unless I get some questions from the viewers. Do you feel that finding your niche is a motivating factor in keeping you enthused or excited about the practice of law?
Well, for me personally, since I've kind of jumped around in different areas that I've worked in, what excites me about being in law is what I'm doing. And the area that I'm working in now and what I'm doing now excites me, even though I see some terrible things on a daily basis. It excites me because I feel like I'm making a difference. I feel like I'm helping these children, you know, be in a better placement, and I'm helping these families get services that they need, so that way we can put these families back together and hopefully put children in a place that's safer for them to be, and that we don't need to be involved in their life anymore. That's always our goal when I go to court. So that's my motivating factor is using my law degree and using all those other, all my other options to do that and to help people in making that difference.
When I guess finding a niche, I always get nervous because I don't know if, in Louisiana they say you don't have a specialization in anything, but I guess I found my niche with family law because, and that's more so because I know how to talk to people, deal with people. Some people you have to know that's the major part of your practice. If you're a solo practitioner, if you can't communicate to your clients, I don't. At some point, you may have a practice that is going to dwindle. So I think finding your niche, finding the ways that you communicate with clients, with judges, and I think that will help you be successful. I think that's not the only factor, though. You really have to take and something that was said earlier. It was said that you got to doing it because you love to do it. Don't let your family, don't let I guess any other influences dictate which way you go with this practice. It's whatever you choose to do, and if you are comfortable with it, if that's your niche or something that you like doing, it may not be something you do full time. You may work at the law office, at a district attorney's office or something like that, but you can use your volunteer work with the bar associations. I know Baton Rouge Bar Association allows you to take cases, and it's just one case they allow you to do, and that'll give you opportunity to get your hand in something else, but you still can make the money that you wanted to make, but you're still influencing people the way you would like to do it. So always check with your local bar association to see if there's options for you to work on different types of cases, which may be actually something that it's your niche, but you can use that as something where you go out and speak to churches and organizations and community people about. It's just like you're on your volunteer side of it, where you can still work in your other job, maybe your 9 to 5 um, thing. I want to add this before we close, that as I was thinking about what I wanted to tell young people is be careful how you use your social media for advertising. I know it's easy, it's cheap. A cheap way to get your name out. I have a Facebook page for my law office. I typically only share on that page um, things that are catchy for people, articles about celebrities and custody cases and divorce cases, laws about the state and the issues that they may be having with paternity cases and things like that. Use that to draw people to you, but don't, assimilate cases where pictures where you have accidents behind you or doing videos because you may have an issue with the bar later. And a lot of young lawyers never think about that. We're the millennials are a social media age, and we want to quickly get our information out, but be very careful on how you are advertising yourself. I believe in the brand, but you have to be careful on how you're tweeting out things and if you are abiding by the rules of the ABA and of your state bar.
Um, and so to go to the original question about finding your niche, I think that now that I have returned to academia and I'm really, a lot more attuned into what the ABA, the direction that the ABA is going in, the ABA is making legal clinics and experiential learning mandatory up to 6 hours for all law students, and in order to be eligible for graduation. And so that's a great opportunity to find a niche without the commitment. So it's almost like dating without the actual ring. And so I love that concept. And so that's one reason why I came back to the law school, because I am working at a legal clinic. We are a think tank, as well as we have Innocence Project issues, we have juvenile justice, we also have a foreclosure defense practice. And so if you just think about that, if you just took 6 hours just in our clinic, you could get exposed to 3 different practice areas, totally different. Again, you're dating without the ring. And that's great, because when you get out, you have that experience on your resume, number one, and you have like real live practical experience, and you have a supervising attorney that doesn't allow you to go too far, in one direction or another. And so, I just really think that students should really think long and hard about the clinics they choose, but that's a great way to kind of identify some niches that, you could definitely practice once you graduate. And so I thank you so much for you all having me on this Google Chat. I'm really excited to have used Google Chat today, I must say. And I have to get back. I am volunteering at a probate law clinic this morning, and so I have to get back and finish working with some of these clients. But thank you so much, Marquita. This has been an amazing experience. And thank you so much to the presenters. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay. I only had one question from the audience. Erica touched on the importance of communication within a solo practice, or really within being a practitioner at all. What skills other than the legal skills that you possess do you utilize on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I would say the skills that I use on a day-to-day basis, besides my legal skills, are sometimes negotiating skills, because when I get to court for these shelter hearings or whatever, the parents might want to, especially if we place children into foster care, the parents might want to have a home study done on a relative to see if the children can be placed there instead of in foster care. So negotiating that. Also, just, people skill, just general people skills, to be completely honest, because everybody that we're working with is people. The judge is a person. He might be wearing that black robe, but he's a person. The other attorneys you're working with are people. The clients that you're working with are people. And, so being able to just, like Erica said earlier, that being able to effectively communicate with them is extremely important, both in written form when you're writing stuff, when you're writing pleadings or motions or anything like that, and verbally, not only when you're speaking in court, but when you're talking outside and before that. So those are the skills that I use on a daily basis in practicing.
Okay, before my Wi-Fi goes out, I think I have 3%. I want to piggyback on what Katrina said, that you need to have communicating skills, obviously, but I think that you also need to have temperance, because what happens is you get in these heated moments, these emotional moments, and you want to present yourself and advocate zealously, and then it gets ugly, and it shouldn't. You should have some kind of meter on you that can control you, when to stop, when to speak, when to elevate, and when to just let things go. Judges are hazing. They are trying to teach lessons as well. And attorneys, old attorneys, young attorneys, I say seasoned attorneys, they are teaching as well. And sometimes you have to know that when they started propounding discovery on you, it wasn't personal. They want to make their money, or they want to, they're trying to find something out about your client. And if you miss deadlines, you miss deadlines. Use your calendar. An older attorney always said you need a handwritten calendar. I have a handwritten one, but that's for my personal life. But young attorneys use their phones. Use your phones. Put your calendar dates on there. Be very professional, because that's going to carry with you if you come to the court late, if you don't make the court appointments. And that's what happened with solo practitioners. You get so bogged down with your clients and the caseload, or the lack thereof, and you might have 2 clients in this particular courtroom, and you completely forget to write down their court date. And then the last thing is everyone wants to get an assistant. It's the cool thing to do. Everybody's walking around with them. If you don't have managerial skills, it will not help you to have someone sitting in your office. If you're paying them, if they're volunteering from the local college or a paralegal school, it won't benefit your practice. So you need to know, if you're going to be a solo practitioner and bring people in, how to manage them. And that's something they never teach in law school. So I always feel that people who had more experience in other fields can do that better. But don't do it because it looks cute, because you're going to end up, and I guess I'm saying things to make sure that no one ends up in a bar complaint, because your secretary, your staff, they do a lot of things, and if you have to teach them and train them to make sure that you don't end up in a bad situation, because they're speaking on your behalf. So don't go get an assistant if you're not ready to manage them, and have the capabilities to manage them. So that's what I want to add.
Well, in closing, I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Attorney Castillo, Attorney Green, and Attorney Whitfield, for presenting us with a wealth of knowledge today. I'm very appreciative that you took time out on a Saturday morning/afternoon to participate. And I'll be forwarding you guys the link of the webinar for future viewing, and I'll also be posting it on social media, so people who may not have been able to attend this afternoon will be able to watch it later and still obtain that knowledge you presented us with today.
Thank you for having us. It's such a cool idea. I'm like the other panelists. I'm still learning Google Hangout.
Oh, we're all learning together.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Have a great day.